Well, good morning. We're here on a beautiful Sunday morning at the Las Vegas Open Water Champions Cup, and we're here with Michael, the race director. Welcome.
Morning. Thanks for coming, Steve.
Yeah, and can you explain this venue?
Yeah, we're located out at Lake Las Vegas in Henderson, Nevada, and we're up at the north end of the lake. It's formerly known as Kitty Hawk, which was a variety of different potential projects that had their kind of moments. But right now, it kind of serves as storage for Lake Las Vegas Water Sports and the home of Lake Las Vegas Rowing Club. But it's really a very active construction site that they're going to be building $1 million houses very shortly here. But we're fortunate enough that they're letting us use this end of the lake last year and this year.
Is this man-made? Is it a reservoir?
The lake, it's technically a wash out of Lake Mead. I think it's man-made. I actually really don't know that part of the history. There's a dam over there that feeds into Lake Mead when they get really high water levels and wherever else they need to do with that.
Yeah, and we're here at the finish. And could you explain the course? Is it a loop course, out and back?
Yep, we had basically two courses. We ran a 10K distance on Friday, so we had to expand that out. It was 6 loops of 1.667, kind of made a big L shape for the 10K. Then after that, we condensed it down, and we're running 7.5, 5K, and 2.5K races that are several loops each, 6 for the 7.5, 4 for the 5, and 2 for the 2.5. And that kind of looks like the shape of Nevada. They go out clockwise, have a long back stretch, and then angle their way back into the finish to make a 1.25 loop.
Great. And I just noticed out on the course, you have a lot of support staff. You have your officials, you have your turn judges, you have lifeguards. How many people do you estimate are out there?
Physically on the course right now, we probably have 25 to 30, depending on the race.
Wow.
We have 2 different waves of kids in the water, and obviously with anything with open water, safety is the paramount. So we have at least 10 lifeguards out there monitoring, and then 3 trailing boats. In some races we have 4, and then we also have officials on the turns on kayaks and paddleboards watching. So we want to make sure we have eyes on everybody and watching the safety and making sure it's a fair race.
Yeah. Are those electric boats?
So the white boats that you've seen out here are they're called waveless boats. I don't know the technical title of them. It's the rowing club, so we're really fortunate. We built a relationship with Jim Anderson and them, and so we get to borrow their boats, and they don't make any wake when they're coaching their rowers. So they work really well for swimming too. And we do have an electric boat we use if we need a 4th one.
Yeah. And how did you get roped in, or how did you volunteer for this thankless task in many cases? I mean, I know a race director, you got to wear a lot of hats.
Well, I kind of do all of our events for the Sandpipers, so this made sense where we started putting this together here. Actually, we really got involved where the Western Zone open water coordinator position for USA Swimming was vacant, and with our success and kind of where we were navigating within the sport, there's a couple people at the Western Zone that asked that a Sandpiper person be put in charge, and I guess I drew the short straw.
Got it. Now, for people who don't know about the Sandpipers in Nevada, I mean, you have an unbelievable club system. I mean, and it's, in my opinion, in a very unlikely place.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you don't think of the American desert as a place where open water and Olympians are developed, but they are. Why? How?
Even before we discuss that, it's really funny. You know, people definitely have that perception of us and this open water culture and success that we've had, but we never actually trained or hosted open water events until COVID last year, when we were getting creative to get people in the water. We only started going out to Lake Mead in summer of 2020 because pool space was so hard to come by. Other than that, we never ran formal open water practices. You know, we just do our usual training. We don't pull out the lane lines and do things like that. Just kind of get the kids prepared for it, and then really the best way to experience this is through the racing format. But we did start going out to Lake Mead last year, and now we host our events here. We don't train out of Lake Las Vegas. We started doing that kind of team-wide last year. Just team and culture-wise, we really believe that every swimmer needs to swim every event, all distances, from the 50 to now the 10Ks in our repertoire. And we've had a couple swimmers do 25K in at the World Championship level a couple summers ago too. So all the strokes, all the distances, we want our kids to be prepared and have opportunities so they can find their best avenue. So this kind of fit in with that philosophy really, really well, and we love it. And it makes them a little tougher. It's fun. You get to see some kids, it's a different race, racing between lane lines versus being out here in a little bit more NASCAR style with the strategies and drafting and that part of it. And some of the kids really enjoy that aspect. So try to create an avenue for everybody.
Yeah, and I imagine with so many Olympians, so many top national level and international level swimmers, your workouts must be brutally tough and competitive.
Competitive for sure. Tough is kind of in the eye of the beholder. We definitely have to train and get the kids ready for all those different aspects. But it's progression from the younger age groups coming up to the team. We're not sitting there and beating anybody over the head. But when they're ready for that, and this is the route they want to take. This is not something that they have to be willing to do this, and there's a desire to want that, and so that has to be in place certainly before we really go to work.
Yeah, and what specifically on the pool side, what groups or what kids do you coach?
I coach what is called our national prime group. We have 2 national level training groups, and I coach the prime level of that. So it's mostly, they're all high school age kids that are right at sectionals and as high up as national qualifying kids. That's national prime group.
Got
20
it.
of them.
And I went to your website. There is a lot of kids graduate from this program, graduate from high school, and go on to Division 1, 2, and 3 universities. You got to be proud of that.
Definitely. That is, especially when I was coming out here, it's something I want everybody to have, that college swimming experience. As a staff, a lot of us swam in college and wouldn't trade our experiences for the world, and we want to give our kids that same opportunity. So we really try to push them in that direction and try to help them with that college search and navigate with the crazy recruiting process and help them find some place where they can have that same experience we did. It's invaluable what they get to take away from that goes on well beyond their swimming life into their work, careers, and their relationships, and it's just so important.
I like that. So not only are you training them in the pool, you're actually helping them with the college application and recruiting process.
Maybe not the application as much, but definitely the recruiting. The recruiting process is so overwhelming with all the different rules and navigating that, and it's constantly changing. And so we try to help them with that as much as we can. And recruiting services can be really, really expensive, and some of our families still do that, but we do our best to try to walk them through that process and give them the resources that they can make a really informed decision. And hopefully usually find schools that they had never heard of or never was even on their radar, because there's so many out there that they don't even know about.
Got it. I assume the parents must be very appreciative of that guidance that you provide.
I hope so. It's part of what they're getting involved with, and it's definitely something that is an appeal of working your way into the senior groups in our program, where we start talking about colleges all the time and having those conversations for sure.
Yeah. And what was your own swimming journey?
I grew up in the Chicago suburbs. I swam for a number of different teams, and then ended up swimming at Eastern Michigan. Swam for 4 years there, and then I went back and coached at Barrington Swim Club, which is actually ironic. They're here with kids, and my old boss and my old team is here swimming. And then 6 years ago, I moved out to Las Vegas to work with Ron and the Sandpipers.
Got it. And you've never looked back since?
Definitely. I maybe look back, just we're busting our butts all the time, but no, Las Vegas is awesome. I love it out here. It's been every bit of the challenge and experience I was looking for.
Yeah, and we'll switch back to this event itself.
Yeah.
I was really impressed. We're here in Lake Las Vegas. It's a beautiful master planned community, but it's huge.
Absolutely
and just
massive.
Driving in, if you guys didn't have several dozens of signs on the road directing us here, I don't know how we would have got here.
Got to give a shout out to one of our families works for Warrior Wraps. They help us get those signs all professionally done. Our first event 2 years ago, we had them all handwritten with markers, and the Homeowners Association Lake Las Vegas, they don't like those garage sale looking signs. So they're like, if you're gonna put those out there, we need professional ones. And absolutely, and navigating through here is a little hectic too, so they're really important.
Yeah. And from a race director's perspective, I mean, we're sitting here on a dock. Behind you is the finish buoys. You've got announcer going, announcing the kids as they're coming through, numbers, leaders, etc. You've got plenty of people on the water. You've got a swim shop here. You've got pop-up tents to protect the kids from the elements during the pre-race meeting. I mean, how many details do you have to manage to do with?
I put in a lot of hours here.
Yeah.
Obviously impossible without our team and the support we get. It's we're a pretty special parent crew where we come up, Ron and I come up with these crazy ideas, and they just say, okay, instead of going, really? You know,
Okay.
it's a ton of things that we have to work out. Like I said, safety is the most important thing, and having, you know, BLS ambulance, having our lifeguards in place, and then after that, it's a total team effort. Ron is really the master engineer behind this finish. I don't think anybody's seen finish structure that's been set up like this before, and he's done an awesome job with the course, and then I take care of all those little details and try to make it an experience. Open water definitely gets overshadowed. People don't really see it as the fascinating races that it can be, so we're trying to make sure that both the spectators and the kids get to take it all in like it's a pool event and make it that special. We got the awards, music, and we want to make it a really fun event that people want to come to Las Vegas for every single year.
Yeah, and one thing that surprised me, I'm very happy about, is there's cash prizes.
Yeah.
I mean, that is really unusual. Of course, there are professional
Certainly.
marathon swims, and every now and then you get, you know, some famous swimmer that swims across a lake or a channel, or they get some money. But, you know, $3,000?
Yeah.
That's
We picked up a couple sponsors, and through putting this together, we really wanted to just sweeten the deal and get the best athletes here. And the other motivation of that prize money is a lot of times on that elite level, they'll swim the 10K on Friday and bail out for Sunday's 5K. So we want to make sure they're swimming both events and make it worth their time to come out and really put together some strong races. When you're picking national teams and World Cup teams off this, it's even more appeal to get the best athletes in the world to come, and we hope we get an even better turnout next year.
yeah. And you have Olympians here.
Yeah, we
Recent
do.
Olympians, not retired Olympians from 1972. You have some.
We did.
Some hot shots.
We had Michael Brenniger out of Indiana and Mission Viejo, and Katie Grimes and Arabella Sims from the Sandpipers, and a couple other national teamers along the way too. That, especially on the boys' side, the elite field is really competitive. It was fun to watch them go, and looking forward to their 5K this afternoon.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. You've done a wonderful job here. I'm very impressed.
I appreciate you guys coming out. We hope to have even more people and make it an even bigger deal next year.
Yeah. And what are plans for 2022?
2022, we really want to come back to Lake Las Vegas. They are this kind of hub that we're in, I think, is going to be a house at some point in the not so distant future, so we might need to move somewhere else in the village. We're working with Lake Las Vegas, and they've been super supportive of allowing us to do this, and can't thank them enough. And so we want to try to come back next year, but we got to figure out where.
Got it. And are you going to have little local races in addition to national championships?
We have been selected. Actually, it was like 2 weeks ago. We got selected to host the Western Zone Open Water Championships again.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we're going to get any other races in. That's asking a lot of our families, and
Yeah.
we have a pretty defined window that we can actually be out here before the water and the air get too warm. So
Got it.
there's a pretty tight window in the spring. Just depends on how cold the water gets over the winter, and then in the fall, it's really like Labor Day, the very, very earliest, about next week or so before the water's going to get too cold. So
Okay.
we'll make the most of it that we can. We're for sure have Western Zones and then this national event on the books next year. We'd love to do a little bit more local and get more people involved and more local teams, but we'll see what we can do. I can't promise anything.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome, Steve. Thank you.